feelings.
Yeah, this is really a wholesale central intervention in the council. 5 commissioners who are going to report directly to Eric Pickles taking over these services. The council does have 14 days to make representations, but as you say, the cabinet has resigned, so it is unlikely that they will have much to complain about here. And then wholesale elections in 2016, so the people of Rotherham can elect an entirely new team that they can trust in. As you say, he said it was with a heavy heart because he would prefer to devolve responsibilities to councils, but he says this was a truly rare and exceptional case that left him with no choice.
Anushka, thank you very much indeed. Anushka Astana there with the very latest on that. Report that inquiry into abuse. 1,400 girls and young women is the estimate abused over a period of 16 years. An inquiry by Louise Casey deeming then the whole council had not learnt the lessons of its own inquiry, that it was not fit for purpose. Response there from the Community Secretary saying he is sending in central.
Very good afternoon. Rotherham Council has been condemned as not fit for purpose, failing victims of child sex abuse and failing to tackle their abusers. A disturbing report details the complete failure of leadership, an organisation struggling with sexism, bullying and misplaced political correctness. In the last half hour, the council has announced that its entire cabinet has resigned. Here are some extracts from the report for you. It says the council has ineffective leadership and management, a culture of covering up uncomfortable truths, silencing whistleblowers and paying off staff rather than dealing with difficult issues. Goes on to detail a pervading culture of sexism, bullying and silencing debate. The issue of race, it says, is contentious, with staff and members lacking the confidence to tackle difficult issues for fear of being seen as racism. It says this has helped fuel the far right and has increased racial tensions. Finally, as we let down victims, it says Rotherham Council has allowed the abusers to go unpunished. Little or no action is taken to stop or even disrupt their activities.
I was shocked by what we found and very, very concerned. We did think that on the back of Professor Jay's profound and important report that they themselves commissioned, that we would find a local authority that was much more open to change, much more open to the need to take action, and we didn't find that. The inspection team, of which I am the lead inspector, found that Rotherham Borough Council is not fit for purpose. It has let the residents of Rotherham down, it's let its children down, and profoundly it continues to let historic and current victims of child sexual exploitation down. I did not anticipate this. It is not something that we have done lightly. We take it incredibly seriously. It's a sad day for public services in the same way it remains a very sad day for victims of child sexual exploitation in Rotherham. They cannot consent to their own abuse. It is for us in authority, in public service, to make sure that we do something about that, and in Rotherham they did not do a good enough job. Over a very long period of time, Rotherham Borough Council has had a combination of unique factors in my view. I don't necessarily think it is typical of local government at all. A leadership that couldn't get a grip of the problem of child sexual exploitation, didn't ask enough questions, didn't take enough action. They didn't hold the police to account. They bring the Pakistani heritage community into disrepute. They, like me, like all of us, would want all criminals rooted out in any community and dealt with. So by wringing their hands, by being not able to deal with that issue, in many ways, in my view, they made it much worse.
And we're just hearing from the National Crime Agency. They have said there are a number of potentially criminal matters identified in Louise Casey's report into Rotherham Council. That no doubt means that they will be investigating as a result of Louise Casey's report. National Crime Agency saying they want to know more about a number of potentially criminal matters. Mike McCarthy is in Rotherham for us. Hello to you, Mike. Could these children and the parents of these children have been let down any further by this council?
It's hard to imagine, isn't it, something that could be more damning of a local council in the United Kingdom. I think the words of Louise Casey, who published this latest report, sum it all up when she says that Rotherham Metropolitan borough council is not fit for purpose. She goes on to say as well at the end of the executive summary of her report, which is the core of that report, that Rotherham Council goes to some length to cover up and to silence whistleblowers. Rotherham Borough Council needs a fresh start. Now, as far as the victims of the sexual abuse in Rotherham are concerned, I think a lot of them may be saying today, and certainly the ones that we've spoken to are saying, this is shocking, but this is what we expected. This is what we have sort of known all along, that it couldn't just be a question of councillors and council officials, the politicians and the administrators being neglectful, that it's far more than that, and that indeed is what Louise Casey has found today. I think one of the strongest points as well, and if you'll allow me just to give you a quote from one of the whistleblowers that Louise Casey quotes in turn in her report today. This is what the whistleblower had to say. "I stepped forward on behalf of young people. It cost me my job and my career. I feel it was worth it. I'm proud to have done so, despite the cost to my health and financial situation." And this whistleblower, who is unnamed, goes on to say, "The machine at Rotherham Council doesn't work, won't listen, and simply exists to cover up and destroy." Well, I think another thing that the victims will be saying today is Rotherham Council, if they hadn't before, have finally met their match. Commissioners will be coming in, led by a managing director type figure. The whole of the council cabinet, as you say, Kay, has resigned, and effectively this council behind me now will be run by an outside body of people instead of those elected to run it in Rotherham itself.
OK, Mike, for now, thanks very much indeed. Well, the MP, Sarah Champion, actually I was chatting to her a couple of weeks ago when I was up in Rotherham just after Christmas. She talked about the Rotherham child sex abuse inquiry as it related to a previous report back in August. What's she been saying about this latest one?
Very well researched, it's very robust, and I accept it in full. And I really welcome the intervention package that's being put in place, because Rotherham does deserve better. It has been let down. It is heartbreaking, but it is also disgusting, and every page has got a new horror on it. What I would plea, though, is that the Secretary of State puts resources in place so that we can move forward. I've been asking for 5 months for resources specifically to help the young people move on with their lives, and we're not getting that. We need that. What I would like to do, though, is for this House to recognise that this came about because of the tenacity of the survivors who kept coming forward and kept highlighting over years and years and years how they were being let down. And what I want to say is that they are champions now, because they have caused the change that we so dearly needed for our town.
Yeah. Well, I agree with everything the Honourable Lady said, and I do. It's certainly my intention.
Eric Pickles agreeing with the MP for Rotherham, Sarah Champion, talking about this latest report into the goings-on at Rotherham Council. The whole of the Cabinet Council has now resigned, and the latest we're hearing is that the National Crime Agency is saying a number of potentially criminal matters have been unearthed as a result of this latest Rotherham Council